Hi, Solo Board Game Guide here, and this is going to be the follow-up video to this classic, currently on 28 views, making an RPG battle map in Photoshop. We're making a bit of progress. We're on 500 subscribers now, loads of people signed up to the newsletter, and pleasingly people are really engaging. I won't show you the full video because I don't yet have permission from the lovely chap that sent it to me, but people are actually printing this game out, playing with it and testing a few things out, and I've had some fantastic suggestions both from this gentleman here and someone you'll see regularly in the comments, brilliantly named Huge Hands. Suspect it's not his real name, but there we go. So the other week I walked up a hill, and thankfully there was no one around because it looked a bit weird, talked to myself a lot and took photos of the floor. The reason I did that is because I'm currently in the middle of making my map tiles. So this little pink area here is going to be the size of the poker card, and I'm not a professional graphic designer, but you've got to have a bleed area so that you can be guaranteed there's some content on here. And the problem I was having is that they sort of looked all the same, the cards, despite my best efforts. I'll show you a few. We've got various cards like this, and some of them look pretty good. Other ones, this one in particular at the moment, I was quite happy when I first started, but it's looking a bit flat and computer generated. And if you notice, it's the same, I'll say it again, homogeneous grass texture. One for Tom there, who's commented. So I'm going to try and put my learning into place from when I went out and took lots of photos of the floor and this beautiful surroundings that I'm in. So from that walk, I took photos. So that is just literally a photo of the floor off my iPhone 7 Plus. I've got a few different versions, and it's my intention to try and use these to make it look less flat and computer generated. So we're going to get rid of this. And the card I'm working on tonight, I'm going to have in total 30 cards. I've done a whopping 5 really I've got on the go, but this is in effect card 5, and it's going to be a campsite, and I thought I'd take it through from scratch and hopefully create something that's a little bit better than some of my previous efforts. So this is from a quest in which basically you stumble on a camp and things happen. A good old classic encounter. So as promised, this is a speeded up version of creating a map tile from scratch using MapForge assets. These are all commercially available pieces of art. So I'm basically used a split screen in Photoshop and then throw them into the software, rescale them. One of the challenges is not doing everything in sort of a geometric pattern. I spend all day using engineering software, making circular arrays and things. So 3/10 is 120 degrees circular array in my brain, but actually no one sets up camp like that. So sort of scatter them around a little bit and try and get into the headspace of putting the assets down as though you're actually, actually putting a camp together. So I'd want my sleeping mats near the fire to keep warm. So these are various assets that I took from the old the walk that I went on. Now the challenge is to sort of paste them in and then play with opacity levels and scaling and removing conspicuous elements from that. And just before I put this log in around the fire, you notice that I had a seamless hill grass texture that I pasted in there, spread around the place, because one of the comments I found was just this uniform grass texture just isn't realistic. So I've sort of made it a bit patchier and a bit more realistic, and I really like the way that turns out. So again, this is what I've been calling decals. Fantastic asset to have created, but it does feel like you need to create a lot of them. So I'm probably going to be walking around for the next few months just taking photographs of the floor. But they're almost idiot proof. I mean, like I say, I'm no graphic designer, but they do go in there pretty well. And once you've got one photo, then you can take elements out, rescale it so it looks different. You can rotate it and edit out different parts. So I'd say, if I built up a library of maybe 20 or so of the various asset types, it's going to be absolutely plenty. So down in that bottom right hand corner, I've got some of those rocks, and then I'm just putting a few different patches in, playing with different textures to create areas of interest. Now, what I've decided to do here is put a bit of hard cover. One of the features, the rules of the game, I guess, is going to be if a grid line doesn't go over the top of something, then it's cover. You know, it's actually an object you can't move over without penalty, and it provides, you know, some kind of hard or soft cover. If a grid line goes through the object, then it's just a piece of graphics to make it look a bit more realistic. So this is what I've ended up with. It's tempting to go over the top, but I also want plenty of free space to move around. I was thinking about putting a tree down in that bottom corner, but no, I'm pretty happy with the way that this turned out. There you have it. That's the camp scene that I'm going to go with. The old cliche in design circles of perfect is the enemy of done definitely comes to mind in this particular scenario. You can spend hours and hours and hours faffing, to be quite honest with you. But what I've learned from this after my walk out is that basically you need lots and lots of different varieties of textures just to throw them in and mix them up. There is, if you look closely, quite a few duplicates of things, but at this stage it's fine just to get a prototype good. That's already pretty decent artwork in my book. I definitely need to get in there and learn how to adjust hue and saturation adjustments, because whenever I try and do it, it just basically messes with the levels of the whole image. But the fire and some of the mats are basically way too bright. They're just popping off the page. They look a little bit ridiculous. And the cheat, of course, is to just tone down the opacity, but that's not right, because then you get a slightly see-through fire, for example. But there we go. That's another card in the bag. So stay tuned. If you haven't already, sign up to those newsletters in the description, and stay tuned for more videos on Decline, the solo RPG.